Hello and good afternoon. My name is Martin Coward, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour, where we've been gathering together every day at noon Eastern Time to create a sanctuary, a virtual sanctuary, a safe refuge to love and support each other through this pandemic. And one of the ways that I'm going to be supporting us through this pandemic is to look at how we can solve some of our worry about money. And that could be worry at an individual level that's keeping you from living in the abundance and the truth of what you are. And because we don't need to add any additional worry into our lives as a result of what we're already going through. And part of the repercussions of this pandemic has been a financial crisis, particularly at the individual level. But if it's at the individual level, it's also going to be at the collective level. So I thought I would do use this platform for a week or so to really just do something I hope is going to be actually constructive, something very active, and take an active role in supporting each other by sharing you what I do. And what I do is I'm a prosperity coach, and I show people teach people how to use the wisdom teachings of Jesus, which most Christians aren't even familiar with the wisdom teachings of Jesus. But those are the wisdom. Well, we look at the wisdom teachings of Jesus, along with the universal law of abundance, to solve problems and create wealth. That's what I do for a living. And it's a very, very rewarding way to earn a living, I have to say, because I'm really on a bigger mission to eradicate the world from what I call the big lie of scarcity. And a lot of why this is so important to me is that we've gotten ourselves into this mess, we would call it, into this current crisis of financial crisis, largely because of a deep-rooted toxic belief system around the scarcity mindset. And the scarcity mindset is a way of thinking that there is only a finite amount of resources available in the planet. And I need to do everything I can. It comes from a very narcissistic need to take care of ourselves. So I need to do everything I can to get my share of the resources, because there's only a limited number, so that I can live a good life and I can have the things that I know that are going to make me happy and take care of my family. So it's got some noble parts to it. I mean, we all do want to protect ourselves and provide for our families, but the problem is there's not a limited supply of resources, because what that gets translated into, that limited amount of resources, what that gets translated into is that we're not enough. I'm not enough. So what we do is the action we take in the world comes out of the fear of a scarcity mindset, and we go about trying to prove we're valuable. We're trying to prove we're worthy of our share, basically. And the problem with that is we become greedy and selfish, and we do all sorts of things in order to, and we think we're doing it for a good reason, because we think we're doing it to take care of our family. But actually, it's coming out of fear. So the way we resolve the way we apply the spiritual wisdom, the spiritual wisdom, or the wisdom teachings of Jesus, is to say, is that true? Is it true that I am lacking in something, or that I'm unworthy of love, or that I need to prove anything? And everything that we learn from Jesus and the wisdom teachings is that we're not. We don't come from lack. We come from abundance. We are abundance. And so when we're able and willing to look at ourselves as the source of the problem, as the source of the symptom, which is maybe it's credit card debt or something, then we're able to take and we accept our responsibility in creating the problem, whether it's a personal problem or maybe a larger problem. Once we begin to take responsibility for that and begin to accept responsibility for the creation of the problem, then we have the joy and the responsibility and the privilege of helping to resolve that problem. And it doesn't matter if the problem is for ourselves personally, or if the problem is more of a universal problem, such it could be, I've got way too much credit card debt and I'm drowning over here. Okay, that's a symptom, but it's a symptom of a much deeper problem within you that created the credit card debt. So if you really want to solve the problem, we have to go inside ourselves and say, well, what belief do you have about yourself? What lie are you making up about you, usually out of fear, that's driving you to run up the credit card debt? And it is almost always, I would say, every case I've ever run into, it comes from some sense of lack, some sense of something's lacking in us. There's a pandemic, I would say, of unworthiness in the world, rooted in scarcity. They kind of work together, if you will. Does this sound familiar? That we feel like we need to spend money we don't have, or we don't realize we have everything within us to create an abundant life because we are abundant. So what we do is we need to go inside and say, well, what is the belief, or what is the story, what is the shadow belief or narrative that I am creating, that I'm living inside of, that's creating these toxic results, these painful results? And it can be done at a larger level. For example, someone the other day put in something that said something along the lines of, let me see if I can find it here. They were saying, oh, I know what they said. They said they wanted to, they put out, what's the problem? They said government spending. And I came back and I said, well, what's the problem with government spending? He almost got a little indignant. What do you mean, what's the problem with government spending? I said, well, the thing is, we give money to the government to spend. What is the problem with that? And we began to say, well, there's no real problem in that. So what's the problem? The problem was we keep electing people into our government to spend our money who we find out are corrupt. And they're using that money for their own personal interest. That's coming out of greed, and that's a byproduct of scarcity. So now that we began to identify the problem is not government spending. The problem is we, the people of the United States, continue to elect people into positions of power who are spending our tax money on corrupt things for the benefit of themselves. So to solve that problem, we got to stop putting people in power who are known to be corrupt. And we have that opportunity right now in the state of Georgia, for example. That's how we resolve the misuse of government money, is we don't put people in positions of power. We don't give them the pocketbook, basically. And it's a pretty well known fact. I don't know much about the woman who's running for the Senate position in the state of Georgia. And I don't want to get this. It's not about political. This is about people's behavior. I'm not talking about It's not about that, Republican or Democrat. It is about shadow behavior. And we know for a fact, we know it has been proven that the guy running for the Senate seat in the state of Georgia, the Republican, is corrupt. I mean, it's known. So now we have a choice. This is it. Now we have a choice. Do we, the people, knowing he's corrupt, re-elect him and put him back in the power to continue to spend our money in ways we don't want it to be spent? That's the question. That's how you solve the problem. You see, it's really going in and finding out where is the root of the problem and what are we doing to create it? We, me, and you. You know? So that's an example. Hello, Salfour. How are you doing? Nice to see you today. It's Saturday. It's quiet here in northern New Jersey. And I am so glad to be here with you and others and being able to talk a little bit about how we use the wisdom teachings of Jesus and the universal law of abundance to solve financial problems and to create wealth. And so you might wonder, well, what is the wisdom teaching of Jesus? It's all around abundance, and one of my favorite metaphors. There's tons of them. There's the story of the loaves and fishes. There's the story of the widow with the 2 coins. If you read the parables, it's very clear that what he's doing, he's turning upside down the egoic, the sort of normal human egoic belief structures. You know, even though the Pharisee in the story of the 2 coins gave more money, the widow with the 2 coins gave from a place of want. So it came from her heart. So when we live from the heart, when we live from love, we live with the principles of forgiveness and joy and prosperity, then we begin to solve the problems. So we live in 2 worlds. We live in the fear-driven world of our egos, and that world, in the world of finances, it creates what I would call a scarcity mindset. Or we can let go of that mindset, or we can do our internal work to see where do we achieve that belief system within ourselves, and then we can transform that into an abundance mindset. And the abundance mindset says this. It says that there's infinite resources in the world, which is true. God made infinite resources in the world. And we are co-creators of a world. So we can design and create economic and social structures from a place of love and prosperity and abundance to replace the old toxic structures that we created out of fear and scarcity. Does that make sense? What we're living through right now is the breaking down, the implosion, if you will, of these old toxic structures that are so painful. And we're also losing, and the people who put them there, the people in power who feed into that toxic system. And so that's why we say, and we all do it, by the way. It's not like there's those people that do it. There is we people that do it. You understand what I'm saying? We do this. We elected the people into the power that do it. And if we want to stop it, we quit electing people into power that we know are corrupt. Okay? We still live in a democracy. And even though the current president doesn't want to accept the results of the popular vote right yet, he is going to, because we live by the rule of law, and we are a democracy, and the people who vote in this country are voted for a leader right now who's going to be leading from a place of love and prosperity, and and empathy and compassion and truth. And that's how we change the system. In our democracy, we have the power of our vote to put someone in the positions of power to spend our money the way it's going to best benefit the people who put them in positions of power. It's just that simple. And it's not a political conversation. I'm not having a political debate about what's wrong. I'm talking about value, and I'm talking about the difference between fear and love here. And it's not, it crosses all political lines and all political boundaries. It just so happens that right now it is the fear-driven Republican Party, for the large part, that's got us stuck in this quagmire. And it is baffling to me. It is absolutely baffling to me. And a little scary at times, quite frankly, that we've got a whole side of our political base who is stuck in holding on to their own power for their own personal reasons. Yeah, so what can we do about that? We can vote. We can vote. We can elect people into positions of power to spend our money on things that are going to make our world better, such as healthcare for people, education for people, food for people, transportation, infrastructure, new environmental technologies that protect our planet so that we don't destroy this precious earth we live on. You know, when people tell us what they're in for, what they're going for, what their agenda is, we should listen to them. You know, I haven't heard Mitch McConnell say one thing ever about wanting to pass some type of legislation that is for the benefit of me and anybody else. Nothing. I've never heard it. So what does that tell me? He is not going to spend the money we give them on things that are going to benefit me and most people. But when I hear other people, like when I hear Joe Biden talks about his top priority is to unite this country and get this coronavirus under control, I can get behind that. I believe what he has to say, because that's something that I think is a good way to spend our money and our resources so that we can get on the other side of this coronavirus and we can save some lives. So we can't just kind of spiritually bypass all the difficult political and financial symptoms that are going on in the world. We have to dig in and we have to look inside ourselves at how we're participating in the creation of these toxic environments. And what can we do about it? Me and you individually. I am personally putting all my resources in supporting President-elect Joe Biden's effort to unite this country and put it in control of this virus. That's what I'm on a mission. And on a bigger scale, I'm on a mission to eradicate scarcity from the scarcity mindset from the planet. That's what I'm about. And that's what this plantation, this format is all about right here. Is a place, this platform is a place for us to share what we want to do to make this a more loving, more compassionate world to live in. And it's not about blaming other people. It's not about pointing. It's about looking at ourselves and how we have been participating, and if we take responsibility for what we've created, then we have the ability to solve it. Okay, so that's my plea to everybody, you know, out there in the world who's watching this thing, is to say, what am I doing? If I don't want any more corruption in government, if I want the government to spend my tax dollars on things that are going to benefit me and my family, then I want to vote for people who are going to go into power, who are going to spend my tax dollars on things and make laws that are going to protect and take care of me and my family and the people that I love. That is bringing spiritual wisdom into the political arena. The name of my company is Financial Heart Space for a reason, because I use spiritual wisdom and spiritual principles to resolve financial problems. And I do the same thing for political problems. They're all kind of related in so many ways. But that's not a political debate, is it really? You know, we may have different ways of agreeing on how we get there, but if we're all out for the same purpose, which is the way this country worked at one time, the Republicans and Democrats just had a different philosophy of how we got to the same place. Somewhere the Republicans got off track. We got to help them get back on track, because we need a two-party system in the country. We need a safe place for us to agree and disagree. Because when we can love and disagree, we can agree and disagree from a place of love and compassion and empathy for each other. Then we can actually then we can solve problems. If we can even come here and we can agree to agree and disagree from a place of what I call compassionate truth, then we can solve our problem, because there's nothing you can't solve in the world without a compassionate, honest conversation grounded in truth. Just can't. Grounded in love. That's the point. So I want to be clear about what we're trying to do, and say that I'm so disappointed no one, and this is typical on Saturday. I don't get a lot of people on Saturday morning, but I really do want to encourage people to come online here on at noon and to put your problem in the chat box. What is it, the specific problem? Whether it's a personal problem, too much credit card debt, or a larger issue such as government spending. And let's break it down and find out what do we need to do to solve this problem, individually and collectively. Let's help each other. Because we're in a financial crisis and people are worried about money. People are worried about being able, now that we have a sense that there's going to be a vaccine arriving soon coming into the horizon, then we're worried about who's going to get it and how it's going to be distributed and all that kind of stuff. I want people in power now who are already thinking about how we get this vaccine out to everybody on the planet, regardless of how much money they have or don't have. It doesn't do with money. Same all healthcare. Healthcare is something that everybody needs to have access to. And I think everybody, the doctors, the insurance companies, and the healthcare workers, everybody is in agreement with that. And there's just a few people who are greedy and who want to siphon the money out from that. And that's what we got to get rid of. The corrupt people within our corporations, within our governments. Quit putting them in places of power. If you don't want them to spend your money in the wrong way, don't put them in power. Don't give them your pocketbook. You know, if you on a personal level, would you hand over your credit cards to a crook? Someone you know that's corrupt? Of course you wouldn't. So why do you turn over the government's money to someone you know is corrupt? I don't get it. You know, that's what we have to do. We have to be honest with ourselves and say, who do I want to put in power? Who would I want to give the government's checkbook to? A known person that's known for his corruption or her corruption? Or someone who had maybe not had an opportunity to have their hands on the checkbook yet, but it's made a promise, a heart-centered promise that if I get in a position of power, I'm going to spend your money on things that are going to benefit you. That's better, right? And that's how we change this world from one driven by toxicity of greed and scarcity and not enough to a world of abundance, of love and prosperity. And that's what we're here to do. And there's nothing going, and that's just it. So let's meditate. Let's meditate. Let's see if anybody's got something they want to say. So raise your hands in the air just to feel that life inside your body, to feel the life inside of you. Hear the bell. I'll let the vibration of the bell take you deeper inside, and put your hands down and just get calm and relax and begin to do what I call conscious breathing. Just allow yourself to become conscious of what we do all day long unconsciously. But let's just for the next moment to bring ourselves present to this moment, become conscious of our breathing. And feel our way into what might even be a little uncomfortable to begin with. That stillness. Stillness. Allow the mind to soften a little bit, to untangle all the thoughts, untangle all the opinions and judgments and stories we make up about this world. Let go of any opinions and judgments you may have about me or you, the government, what's right and wrong, and fall deeper into the world of the unknown. Unknown to the human mind and known well by the heart. By that creative, aware mind that we all have within us. Infinite intelligence. Let us all fall back into that. and be still. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, I do. You, the human, be still so that I, God, can do. Be still, I do. Be still, I am. Be still, I am. Allow the sound of the bell and my voice to wake us up from our thoughts and beliefs and our transmissions and everything else, and just let them all go. Let them go and fall sweetly into the unknown, the world of the unknown, the deep stillness of unconditional love. Allow the sound of the bell and my voice to wake us up from our problem solving, our planning, our stories, our thoughts, to let them go and gently fall back into the stillness of unconditional love. Allow the sound of the bell and the sound of my voice to wake us up from our planning and thoughts and stories. And just let them go. It's just our mind doing what the mind does. Thank the mind for all its work and say, let them go. Let them go. They'll come back. Let them go and fall back into the sweetness of stillness, of unconditional love, all that wonderful space around the thoughts, before the thoughts, after the thoughts. And there's our final bell. Welcome back. How was your internal adventure back home? Find yourself. You got to figure out how to fix the lighting because having the window behind me puts me in the shadow. So I want to fix that for tomorrow or for Monday. So I'm going to suggest we sign out, and may love and prosperity continue to prevail across the world. Thank you, and have a good afternoon, and I will see you at noon on Monday. Much love.